Welcome back to another video, you guys. Financial freedom is only a click away. Keep watching my videos. Thanks so much for being here, you guys. Today I want to talk about something very important. And this is something I get asked a lot. When should I buy a property? When should I buy my first property? When should I buy a house? When should I buy an investment property? Should I buy a house? Should I buy a multifamily? Should I buy a piece of land? Should I flip any of these things? When is the best time? Well, history has shown the best time was 20 years ago. The next best time was yesterday. But after those two, if you weren't buying it 20 years ago, and I was 11, so I wasn't getting approved for any loans, and if you didn't buy yesterday, today is the time to buy real estate. I'm sure you guys have heard this. If you've watched my videos, if you watched other people's videos, Graham Stephan, Meet Kevin, Andre Jick, any of these financial gurus or YouTubers, right? They'll always tell you, and this definitely is the same with real estate, right? It's definitely the same with real estate as it is with the stock market. It is time in the market, not timing the market, right? So when it comes to stock, when it comes to real estate, when it comes to bonds, when it comes to crypto, any of that stuff, you guys, any of that stuff, right? It's about being in the game, right? You miss 1,000% of the swings that you do not take. You need to be in the market. So now that we know that, now that we know you need to be in the market, is now really the best time to buy? Well, no. I think the best time to buy was probably when the worldwide pandemic was happening, right? That was probably the best time because interest rates were still low and prices weren't completely jacked up high. So that was about 3-4 years ago, something like that. That was probably a really great time to buy. I did some refinances, right? I bought and I did some refinances. So right on for me, right? That's awesome. Way to go, Brandon. But for you guys, if you don't have any properties or if you're considering getting your second, third, fourth, fifth property, I believe, and I'm not a licensed realtor. I'm not a broker. I'm not trying to push anything on you guys, right? This is just my opinion. Don't sue me if you buy a bad investment property and it blows up in your face. I think buying right now is right now is the time because interest rates are still high. And we just had a Fed meeting with Jerome Powell, right? He's the one who determines what direction the Fed's going to go with, lowering interest rates, keeping the same. And I'm not going to give you a whole history about how that affects the banks and what they charge us and all that stuff, right? But he controls stuff, him and the committees, right? And from what it sounds like is they're going to kind of just keep things where they're at. They haven't seen anything that makes them want to cut rates, and they haven't seen anything that makes them want to increase rates. So now is the time. And why do I say that? Well, if anybody remembers just a couple years ago when interest rates were super low, 2.2%, 2.5%, 3%, 3.5%, when they were artificially low because the government intervened and basically told banks they can borrow the money for zero. And then the banks would lend it out to me and you, depending on interest rates, depending on the asset, whether it's a car or a house or multifamily, for 2, 3, 4%, right? If you can get qualified through conventional financing. What happened when interest rates were that low? It was an absolute feeding frenzy. People were waiving inspection contingencies. They were offering 20, 30, 50, 100K over asking. And some of these properties were actually selling because the appraiser saw that everybody else was doing the same thing, right? It wasn't unusual 2 years ago for people to go 50K over asking, waiving all the inspections and contingencies, right? And that was I think that was a really rough time, because here's the thing, and I think I've said this in another video, and I'm going to continue to say it. There's only two things that you cannot change about real estate. That is the physical location, right? If you buy on double yellow lines where there's a busy road and people are whizzing by at 40 miles an hour and you can hear the traffic inside the house, you probably can't change that. Maybe you can get them to lower the speed limit. Maybe you can get them to put the city to put speed bumps or something like that. But that's considerable amount of effort. You're going to have to rally the entire community. Not an easy task. If you are in a D neighborhood, no matter how nice your house is, you're gonna have D-class people living around you, whether it's your house, whether it's a renter, whatever, right? You cannot change an entire neighborhood. So that will not change unless given 5, 10, 15, 20 years, right? Maybe over an extended period of time, things will change and get better, and you got in and held long enough to make that happen. Great. The second thing, and the thing that you can control, well, I guess you cannot buy in those locations. The second most important thing is the purchase price. And that was the thing that people were doing. They were offering way more than these properties were actually worth. Because they could afford to, right? Because the interest rates were so low, they could actually afford to pay $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, $800,000 for a property. Because the interest rates made the payments so low that people could do that. But here's the problem. They might now, depending on when you bought, might be underwater or very close, right? Because, properties have still gone up in value. I think they still are. I don't think there's been any dip significantly. I don't think there's going to be a crash or anything like that. So if you're waiting for that, you're going to be waiting a very long time. If a worldwide pandemic can't crash the market, I don't know what will, right? And they're not doing shady loan practices like they were doing back in 07, 08, right? That was the reason for the last housing crash, was lenders were giving people loans that shouldn't have had them. And that's not the case anymore. People have great credit. As long as they still have their jobs and can make the payments, I just don't see a crash. I don't see the foreclosures going through the roof because people have just amazing rates, right? So the purchase price is the other thing you can't change, location and purchase price. And those are the two things that you should be hyper fixated on, because once you agree to a certain location and a certain purchase price, you're stuck. No matter how many times you refi, and unless you literally pick up the entire house and move it somewhere else, which could be $100,000 or something, which would be ridiculous, those things you're stuck with. So I believe, and again, my opinion, I think you should buy now. I think prices are still elevated. Yes. Will prices come down at some point? Yes. Will they go up at some point? Yes. Do I think over 5, 10, 20, 30 years that the prices will be worth more? Yes, because of inflation, right? We have fiat currency that normally goes down in value, which means you need more of it to buy the same thing, right? Real estate is an asset, is a physical asset. There's only so much of it they can make. There's only so much land. If you're where I'm at in Portland, Oregon, they have all kinds of restrictions on builders. They make it very difficult to continue to build real estate. Is it happening? Yes, people are building stuff. But is it fast enough? No. Are we going to have more? Okay, this is another question you should ask yourself. Are we going to have more population growth? Well, some people say no. Some people say that, people our age are having one or no kids and they're waiting a long time, which I've seen that. That is true. Do I think real estate is going to collapse because there's not enough people? No. Do I think we still have a lot of people coming from other countries that want to live here? Yes, the United States. Whether you like that or not, I'm just saying that people are coming from other countries, so they need a place to live too. So housing will be a necessity, right? The first thing you think of is, I want water, then I want food, then I want shelter, right? That's the top 3 priorities of any humans. And real estate is a good investment. I mean, maybe farmland is too. I think Bill Gates bought a bunch of farmland, right? So, I mean, maybe that's a good asset too. But real estate produces money. It's a lot more consistent, right? You don't have to worry about whether there's rain or not, right? Like I'm not gonna debate whether farmland is better than real estate, but I'm just saying, right? I'm not a farmer. I don't know anything about farmland. I shouldn't have even said that. But here's the point, you guys. Now is the time to buy real estate. Sorry for that tangent. Now is the time to buy real estate because interest rates will come down. They will. And what's going to happen when interest rates come down to 6%? You're going to have more buyers that can afford to get into the market. What happens when the rate goes down to maybe 5%? And I don't know if it'll go that low. I'm just saying, what if it goes down to 5%? What if it goes down to 4%? I don't think that'll happen. But, just as it goes lower, more people are going to dogpile into the market, and there's not enough inventory. That's why prices aren't coming down right now, because there's not enough inventory. There's still a sufficient demand where people are willing to buy these properties at these prices. So what's going to happen when more buyers pile in because they can afford to, because the interest rates have been dropping? Prices are going to go up, right? And that's the one thing you don't want, right? You don't want to be the guy that pays $1 million for a 3-bed, 2-bath starter home. Great, you got an interest rate of 3%. The interest over 30 years that you would pay on $1 million property, I'm not even going to do the math, but I promise you, it is exorbitant. You will be paying for your entire life on that property, right? And here's the crazy thing. Most people don't even stay in their house for, like, what I think it's the average is 5, 7, 8, 10 years, something like that, right? Then people sell, and right, because family, because job, the kids leave, you want to move to another whatever, right? So you will have effectively paid a crap ton of interest on the front end of that loan, because that's how banks make their money, and then you'll move somewhere else. So just don't do that. So that's my opinion, you guys. I think now is a really great time to buy, because I really do, once these interest rates come down, you're going to have more buyers, more competition, more people waiving contingencies again, more people offering over asking, and it's just going to be a feeding frenzy. So if you have any questions, post them in the comments later.